natutulog po kami, tas ginigising kami. Sumakay daw kami sa tas nakaladkad na ako. Yung iba po nakatakbo ay ako, tulog pa ako, tas ginising po ako, kinaladkad po ako.
For many, Metro Manila has been reborn as a city of progress and beauty. Skyscrapers, marble-clad footpaths, fine dining, expensive clothes and brand-name shopping have all become commonplace within the bustling city of Metro Manila. But spectacular growth in the Philippines has also been accompanied by unprecedented levels of inequality and poverty. Widespread corruption and economic mismanagement by the government have forced millions to migrate from rural areas to cities. But while the promises are many, employment opportunities are few, forcing many of the city's growing populace to take up residence in squatters' settlements or on the streets themselves. Among this marginalised sector of Manila's population, street children are among the most visible. Today, many of Manila's street children occupy some of the most beautiful public areas of the city: parks, highways, tourist attractions and squares. They do so to ensure the survival of themselves and their families, for it is in these beautified spaces that there is grass to sleep on, fountains to wash in, restaurants that hand out food, and people to beg from and sell small items to. This makes them the target of not only much pity and charity, but also hostility and resentment.
Pag nakaporma ka, hindi ka huli. Pag hindi ka nakaporma, pag madumi ka, hulihin ka.
Nasabi sa akin, pwede ba daw? Pwede niya akong diulihin, pero may kondisyon. Yung katawan ko, umayaw ako, sabi ko, hulihin mo na lang ako, hindi kita papatulan kahit makulong ako. Kaya kinulong ako doon.
Pagtakbo, natamaan ng sasakyan. Tumilapon yung bata. Isa ko dun sa negosyoso. Kung ano nga ang nangyari, nakita ko yung bata, wala na, dumutugo na yung mukha. Tinakbo sa ospital, wala na rin.
The presence of street children conflicts with the government campaign to portray an attractive metropolis, or a Metro Guapo.
Many of the city governments, for example, in the city of Manila, are very concerned with, beautifying the city, of course, attracting tourists. You see children sleeping on the streets, families sleeping on the street, living in carts, little carts. And this is certainly not something that our local governments want to see, want tourists to see.
Manila's street children are often considered a social burden, even acquiring the status of rubbish on the streets, something to be cleaned up, swept away, and hidden from view. Until more recently, the removal of street children from urban spaces in Manila has been carried out by law enforcers. In 2005, it was estimated that about 20,000 of Manila's street children had seen the inside of a jail cell. The majority of these children had either committed only a minor offence or had been wrongly convicted of a crime altogether. Two important milestones have furthered the campaign to protect and promote the rights of street children. In 1990, the Philippines government ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, one of the first countries in the region to do so. And in 2006, the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act was passed, banning the arrest and detainment of children under the age of 15 for any reason. However, there continues to be a growing discrepancy between policy affecting street children on paper and that exercised in practice. Today, arrest continues under another name: rescue. As part of the city's campaign to improve the lives of Manila's street children, government welfare agencies have been removing neglected, abused and exploited children from urban spaces and placing them in centres commonly known as RAC, the Reception and Action Centre. Yet despite changes in policy and government rhetoric, the abuses continue. For many street children, rescue is simply a continuation of past practices of arrest.
They call the program rescue, but actually we in Child Hope clearly see it's a roundup, it's an arrest. So unfortunately, the government still has not been able to recognize, that this is a program which violates the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child.
A recent study found that rescued children are still being indiscriminately, violently, and involuntarily taken from the streets and detained in prison-like centres, not only in RAC, but also a range of similar detention facilities within Metro Manila. The study revealed that 80% of rescued children were taken against their will, that 70% felt scared during the apprehension and reported violence being inflicted upon them during the rescue process.
Clearly, it will be in the best interests of children that they are rescued in the sense that they are removed from situations where they are abused and exploited or are subject to a lack of food and healthcare and education. But that's not the kind of rescue that we're talking about. The rescues that we're dealing with involve children being removed suddenly, often from their families, and taken to centres that are not designed for long-term care. And they either are released or escape from those centres to situations that they were previously in.
Like the city's jails, the conditions in RAC are poor. Rescued children are typically detained in large, overcrowded dormitories in which they sleep together on a wooden floor. They're provided with little or no education and receive insufficient food of poor quality. The children included in this film represent only a small percentage of the vast number of street children being rescued every day within Metro Manila. There are hundreds of street children who have similar stories to share of systematic neglect, abuse and exploitation at the hands of government welfare agencies claiming to protect and promote the rights of children.